So in the very earliest years of the colony, Sydney was a small place. It started as a tent town on the banks of the Tank Stream and grew into a bustling trading village, and many of the people living around Sydney were convicts. It was a very lively place, and in the very earliest years of the colony there were convicts running businesses out of their houses, and the streets were very lively, and people were arriving every year on new ships, and this was a sort of very vibrant place that was constantly changing and remodelling itself virtually every year, and new governors were coming and going every few years as well. Aboriginal people were part of that landscape too. They were in Sydney. They were working with convicts. They were getting to know people, and the very first generations of Sydney-siders who were born in Sydney in the 1790s and the early 1800s, they were mostly the children of convicts. They were the first generation who had to work out what it meant to be Australian. And at the same time, we have Aboriginal people who were survivors of the smallpox epidemic in 1789, and the people that survived had to also work out what it meant to be an Aboriginal person in this rapidly changing colonial world and in the wake of that devastation. And one of the very interesting stories that emerges in Sydney is that some of those people, some of the Aboriginal people, some of the children of convicts, ended up forming quite long-lasting relationships with each other that lasted over many generations throughout the 19th century. And that's a story that really has its origins in that very early muddy streets of Sydney in the very earliest years as Sydney was starting to take its form.